Over 60 years ago, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human being to travel into space. And since that remarkable achievement, hundreds of people from 47 different countries have made the journey into space. Some have spent considerable lengths of time there. 2 astronauts were stranded in space for 9 months and just returned home a few weeks ago, thanks to Elon Musk and SpaceX. 3 or 4 years ago, William Shatner made a brief trip to space at the age of 90. Jeff Bezos has been to space. Michael Strahan has been to space. One of the guys from the Dude Perfect YouTube channel has been to space. Going to space was an incredible achievement 60 years ago, and now it's something that a YouTuber can do. Now, there are still, of course, many mind-boggling achievements to be had in space. There's an infinite number, in fact. Lots and lots and lots of history can still be made in space, but if you want to make it, you'll have to do something a little bit more than a suborbital flight at the edge of space, because literally hundreds of people have already done that and more. The next truly historic achievement in space will have to occur somewhere past the moon. Anywhere past the moon, as no human being has ever been that far. At least that's what I thought. I thought that when you have a 90-year-old William Shatner taking a tourist trip into orbit, it just isn't possible anymore for anyone to make history by also taking a tourist trip into orbit. But apparently I was wrong. Because yesterday, 6 celebrity women, including Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, who is the plastic fiance of Jeff Bezos, took a Blue Origin rocket into space on a trip that lasted from takeoff to touchdown less than 12 minutes in total. Now, it was no doubt a cool experience for those women. It's an experience that I would love to have. Not one I'd want to have with those women, but one I'd like to have in general. I'm sure it was a lot of fun. But according to the media, it was more than just fun. It was somehow, some way, historic. Headlines across the corporate media trumpeted the news. Vanity Fair declared, Lauren Sanchez, Katy Perry, Gayle King, and their historic all-women's space flight land safely. People reported, Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez go to space and back in historic all-female Blue Origin flight. NPR says Katy Perry, Gayle King, and others reflect on their brief but historic trip to space. Space.com. Katy Perry and Gayle King launched to space with 4 others on historic all-female Blue Origin rocket flight. And many other headlines use this language. The mainstream media was on hand covering the whole ordeal like it was a major newsworthy event. All of the corporate media outlets had reporters and anchors on the ground. The Associated Press was especially excited. Watch.
The vibe of the New Shepard crew this morning, now that the morning is finally here.
Oh, there is so much energy here. In fact, I've already heard happy screams coming from inside the astronaut training center. And these women are feeling all the feels, right? This is a very human emotion to feel energy, excitement, a dash of anxiety as you kind of teeter on the edge of history. But these women are all rock stars in their own field.
Needless to say, any reporter who uses the phrase feeling all the feels should immediately and permanently lose their press credentials and their right to vote and their citizenship. But lots of other people in the media were embarrassing themselves during this ordeal. Oprah Winfrey actually wept as she watched the all-female team launch into space for a trip that would last for approximately half the length of an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. And there she is crying there. Just such a historic moment. Katy Perry, one of the women on this crew, was particularly dramatic. Before the flight, she bragged about the historical journey that she was about to undergo. Listen.
Hi, guys. It's 1 hour and 5 minutes till we launch. We are the Taking Up Space crew. There's 6 of us, all women. It's a historical flight to space because it's the first time that all women have been in space. And I'm so excited for this launch. I have never felt this much love like I have felt today. I feel like my message that I'm getting is you never know the amount of love that you have inside of you until the day you launch. And I'm feeling that love. I'm sending you love. Please come check it out on blueorigin.com/live. Watch us go up. Watch us land safely. And for my kitty cats, I have a special reveal coming to you.
All right, okay, shut up, Katy. So that was not terribly eloquent, but at least it was better than what she said in an interview with Elle magazine a few days earlier. Quoting her directly, this is what she said. Quote, "Space is going to finally be glam. Let me tell you something. If I could take glam up with me, I would do that. We're going to put the ass in astronaut." Yes, we're going to put the ass in astronaut. So we went from one small step for man to putting the ass in astronaut in the span of just a couple of generations. Beginning Palm Sunday, April 13th, you can join Jeff Cavins and Jonathan Rumi on Hallow for a prayer experience unlike any other. The Holy Week in the Holy Land is an immersive video prayer series where you'll walk the sites of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection alongside biblical scholar Jeff Cavins and Jonathan Rumi, who portrays Jesus in The Chosen. This project was especially meaningful as Jonathan experienced the Holy Land for the first time while preparing to film the crucifixion scenes. You'll have the opportunity to pilgrimage with Jonathan and Jeff, going deeper in meditation and prayer on the last days of Jesus. Together, you'll experience the Sea of Galilee, journey into Jerusalem, visit Caiaphas' house, walk the Via Dolorosa, stand at the foot of the cross at Golgotha, and visit the tomb, all while praying alongside Scripture in the actual sites where these events occurred. This Holy Week, deepen your connection to Christ's passion as you journey with him to the cross and resurrection. And there's more to look forward to. Stay tuned for exciting new Easter prayers launching Easter Monday to carry you into the joy of the resurrection. Download Hallow now and get 3 months free. Katy Perry, in other words, had certainly set the bar high for herself. She was so insufferably stupid and ditzy before the flight that everybody wondered if she could come up with anything even dumber when she landed. And fortunately, she delivered. The brief exposure to radiation had plunged her IQ down to Arctic levels, enabling her to come up with this gem after she landed. Listen.
It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour.
Sir Edmund Hillary, sometime after becoming the first person to climb Mount Everest in 1953, is reported to have said, "It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." And his point was that achieving any great thing requires us to subordinate ourselves and overcome our own weakness and our own frailty. Now compare that to the quote just offered by great explorer Katy Perry, who says, quote, "You're like really feeling the love for yourself because you got to trust in yourself on this journey." So Edmund Hillary found that achieving something great required the subordination of the self. Katy Perry found that it requires an even more intense focus on and worship of the self, along with the divine feminine, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Now, it makes sense that Katy Perry came to this sort of opposite conclusion after her historic accomplishment, mainly because there was no historic accomplishment. She did not accomplish anything at all. And neither did anyone else on the all-female crew. A crew that was not really a crew any more than I'm part of the crew when I take an American Airlines flight from Nashville to DC. Okay, they were passengers on a tourist trip. They weren't even the first tourists to go on this trip. They missed the chance to be the first tourists in space by about 25 years, as the first space tourism flight happened in the spring of 2001. So nothing historic happened here at all. They were not the first female astronauts because they aren't astronauts. And women have been going into space since the 1960s. In fact, get this, this wasn't even actually the first all-female space crew. That happened not in 2025, but in 1963, when Valentina Tereshkova took a solo trip into space where she orbited the Earth 48 times. It was an all-female flight crew. So even if you're inclined to give a woman credit for being a pioneer because she's the first woman to do something that men have already done a bunch of times, this still would not even come close to qualifying. This is like celebrating a random, female Delta pilot as if she's Amelia Earhart. Never mind that Amelia Earhart is one of the most overrated historical figures of all time. Not a great aviator, not even the best female aviator of her time. Only reason anyone remembers her name is because she crashed into the Pacific, which is hardly an achievement. But in any case, however historical Amelia Earhart was or wasn't, these women are not historic figures at all. In reality, these are a bunch of rich ladies who got to take a sightseeing tour on a rocket because their friend's boyfriend is Jeff Bezos. So in the pantheon of female heroes, Katy Perry is not exactly Joan of Arc. In terms of historic significance, this trip is about as monumental as like being the 100th customer to ride the Batman roller coaster at Six Flags on a random Saturday. Historians will look back on this journey the way they look back on your Uncle Jim's trip to the Grand Canyon last August. All that said, again, I have no doubt that it was a cool experience. It was not historic or significant in any way, but it was still, I'm sure, cool. More than cool, it must have been profound and quite moving. It's a shame then that it was wasted on a woman with the wisdom and intellectual depth of a newborn poodle. And that is why all of the media outlets claiming that Katy Perry's trip into space was historic and Katy Perry herself are all today canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.